Directress of St. Teresa's College, Mrs. Maria Teresa Baile, High School Principal, Mrs. Estrel Alcabedes, High School Academic Coordinator, Dr. Sakdaran, our Theresian Student Council Moderator, Ms. Maria Teresa Chan Lindsay, our Project Officer from the Ateneo Center for Educational Development, who I believe was also a former Theresian. Were you? Members of the Theresian Student Council, student leaders from various IB partner schools, faculty, staff, personnel, magandang hapon sa inyo lahat. Magandang hapon. Parang inaantok na kaagad kayo. Hindi naman. First of all, thank you very much to our Theresian sisters and teachers for inviting me once again. I was telling Sister Jo while I was here a while ago that it seems like I am an honorary Theresian already sa dalas ng pagpunta ko dito sa St. Teresa's College. Every time I visit, I am always warmly welcomed with an engaging crowd such as this. So, thank you very much, Sister Jo and the entire family. 2 weeks ago, we were here in this same hall when we opened Istorya ng Pag-asa. I do not know if you noticed the pictures outside. That was what we inaugurated 2 years ago. And Istorya ng Pag-asa is a project of the Office of the Vice President and is our attempt to change the conversation, veering away from animosity and noise from social media and spreading instead stories of hope and inspiration from our fellow Filipinos. It attempts to spark a flame in each one of us to counter the darkness that surrounds us all. Hope is a powerful thing, and we are all bearers of it. Each of us carries this light, and it is meant to be shared with others. But how do we spread hope? How do we become bearers of light for others? Today, I am asked to reflect on how young leaders such as yourselves can engage your communities to push for an agenda that benefits the last, the least, and the lost of our countrymen. A topic that is timely and very important as we face these extraordinary times. One need not look anywhere else than at Pope Francis' second encyclical letter, Laudato Si', to understand the extent of these challenging times and how the youth are our partners in advocating for change. In his message, he called on all people of the world to take a unified global action to address the looming effects of climate change to our common home. Progress has and still is hurting our environment. We have somehow lost sight of the vulnerability and limits of our natural resources. The problem may sound solely environmental. You will hear about glaciers, hurricanes, rising sea levels, and all that. But Pope Francis says that it is a very human problem. The problem is that it is the poorest and most marginalized communities who suffer the most from climate change. For example, because of the increasing warmth of the globe, lands plowed by our farmers have become barren, and main sources of water have dried up. Floods are now threatening even the urban cities, as most of our waterways have become polluted by man-made wastes. Not to mention the gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen as well, thanks to consumerism. So how do we put an end to this seemingly vicious cycle of poverty and divisiveness? Pope Francis proposes a common plan for our common home, to work together and uplift the lives of the less fortunate. Marginalized communities have always been at the heart of my advocacies even before I joined politics. Before I was elected into office, I was a human rights lawyer for an NGO called Saligan. We were not the usual legal team who worked in air-conditioned offices for clients to come to us. We were the ones who went to them. Our clients were indigents, the urban poor, laborers, farmers, fisher folks, indigenous peoples, women and children in far-flung areas. We slept in makeshift huts and boats because there was nowhere else to spend the night. We taught them their rights and translated them into their native tongue so they can speak for themselves even after we leave. That was my work for 10 years, and that was where I found myself. If anything, this is proof that you do not have to be public servants to be in the service of the Filipino people. Whatever career path you take later on, you may be a journalist, an actress, an actor, a teacher, a soldier, a doctor. There will always be ways to reach our brothers and sisters in need. Uplifting the lives of our fellow men continues to be at the focus of the work of the Office of the Vice President. When we took office, we decided we could not sit idly by and spend the next 6 years doing only ceremonial functions. I do not know if you have discussed this in your social studies classes already, but the Office of the Vice President in the Philippines is quite different from the Office of the Vice President in other countries. Because in other countries, the Vice President has a definite mandate to perform. In the Philippines, if you look at our Constitution, the Vice President is just expected to be there in case something happens to the President. So talagang wala siyang mandato. But I was telling my staff that we can't spend 6 years doing just ceremonial functions. So even before even before our inauguration, I already told my staff we have to conceptualize a program where we can be of best help to the poor. So we conceptualized Angat Buhay. So Angat Buhay is our flagship anti-poverty program, and it aims to address the gaps in the Filipino family's most basic needs, from food security and nutrition, universal health care, rural development, public education, housing, and people empowerment. We rolled up our sleeves and got to work, visiting the poorest, most remote communities in our country. We believe that it is in visiting these communities where we would be in a better position to help our countrymen in need. During these visits, we listened to their stories. We met so many faces and smiles along the way, laughing and crying with them. But above all, you will see in their eyes the hope and joy at the thought that we were there for them to help them. Our Angat Buhay has gone a long way since we began our journey a year ago. With the help of our partner organizations, we have reached 153 areas, benefiting more than 83,000 families. And the unique thing about our program is that we do not have a budget to implement these programs. You see, the Office of the Vice President has the smallest budget in the bureaucracy, and the budget is just for salaries and operations. There is no budget to implement programs. So we conceptualized Angat Buhay in such a way where we positioned our office as a sort of a conduit between communities needing help and private organizations and companies who are willing to help. And nakakataba ng puso because one of the things that we discovered was that there are so many private citizens who are only too willing to help but do not know how. So we provide the whys, the what, and the where. So after one year of operations, we started October 10 of 2016. We celebrated our first year last Monday. We have already serviced 153 poor communities and 83,000 families. And to take it a step further, on Tuesday, which is October 17, in a belated celebration of our first year anniversary, we will be launching Angat Kabuhayan. So, yung mother program is Angat Buhay, and we will be launching Angat Kabuhayan to provide a venue for our partners and local communities to link and connect with each other for livelihood opportunities. And this is our contribution to Pope Francis' call to action to enjoin all of our people in sustainable progress and growth. We hope that young as you are, you will do the same, to turn your gaze to our marginalized communities, putting them at the front and center of our advocacies. And I hope that by the end of today's forum, the one single thought in your mind as you walk out of here is the conviction that you can change things around you. Do not wait for change to happen. Make them happen. You are in a perfect place and live at a perfect time to influence what is going on all around us, influencing those who are much older. If you can solve a social ill, adults will realize that they can do it too. Paminsan nakakahiya, kaming matatanda. Nauunahan pa kami, di ba ma'am? Nauunahan pa tayo ng mga bata. Mas nauuna pang nakaisip yung mga bata ng mas magagandang bagay para makatulong. So pag nag-act kayo, yung mga matatanda susunod din. And we thank St. Teresa's College and all the other participating schools for giving our young leaders this opportunity to come together and develop their leadership skills. All is not lost, as Pope Francis would conclude in Laudato Si. In particular, he said, "We find hope in you, the youth. Your passion and rigor, your uniqueness and creativity, your energy and idealism are unparalleled. You are our secret weapon in all of the problems we face. And it is my hope that you can take on this challenge with the same enthusiasm and positivity as you always have." Ang parati ko pong biro, I am the only old person in my office. I am surrounded by a very young staff. I do not know, ma'am, if you observed that all my staff who were here ahead of me are very, very young. I think the average age of the entire office is only 26 years old. And that is strategic, that is deliberate. We really wanted to get very young people to teach them empathy at a very young age. And to benefit from their innovativeness, from their energy, from their passion and their grit. And we find hope in you. Young people who demand for change. Masyadong idealistic yung mga kabataan. And that is an asset. You are the leaders that we need to pave the way and take ground. Marching into movements and revolutions to give voice to those who cannot speak for themselves. Nakita nyo, I do not know if you have been watching the news, but recently all the rallies against certain issues are led by very young people. Majority of the crowd are very, very young. Talagang kayong mga kabataan yung mas malalakas yung loob. Kayo yung wala pang masyadong mga hang-ups. And your vision for a better future is still very ideal. And we hope to take that inspiration from all of you. I just would like to give you a glimpse of what Angat Buhay has been and how we have gone through so many stages in our program. Yung una po yung istorya ng Pag-asa. When you entered, you saw several pictures outside. I do not know if you took time to read whatever the captions on those pictures were. Palagay ko hindi. Because lahat kayo nagmamadali. But if you tried reading them, these are stories of ordinary people who have gone through extraordinary struggles but have achieved in the end. Yung pinakauna pong, I do not know if I have a PowerPoint presentation of it. Meron ba? I would like to share with you two stories of our istorya ng Pag-asa. This is Francis. Francis is just 12 years old. He's in grade 6. And we met Francis while we were in Taysan, Batangas. While we were in Taysan, Batangas, we met Francis yung nakakagulat kasi we were there with partners who were willing to give school buildings to a public school there. While we were there, we went to each and every classroom. And when we went to the grade 6 classroom, I was with the mayor. I was with the mayor and some other local officials. Pagpasok namin sa classroom, everyone knew Francis. Kilala lahat si Francis. So I was very curious. I asked the mayor, bakit niyo kilala si Francis? Sabi ng mayor, kilala namin si Francis, kilala yan dito sa lahat. Kasi pagkakatapos ng school, nagtitinda yan. Nagtitinda? Anong tinitinda? Turon at hotcake. Nagtitinda siya ng turon at hotcake. And he does that each and every day after school. Tapos ang sabi ni Francis, kahit daw weekends, pag weekends daw buwelo siya. Because on weekends, he has more time to go around. He does not just sell hotcakes and turon, but he also sells ulam. He also sells ulam. So sabi ni Francis, we interviewed him, ang sabi niya, ma'am, nakaipon po ako. Kasi I think we went there June. It was just the start of the school year. So it was just after the summer break. Sabi ni Francis, ma'am, nakaipon po ako. Kasi nung summer po, nakatinda ako ng maayos. Hindi lang siya nagtitinda, pero nagwawash pa siya ng mga cars. Apparently, the mother of Francis is a single mom and does not have any money to. He has a sibling who is still a baby. Wala silang perang pang araw-araw. So sabi ni Francis, parang hindi na ako humihingi sa nanay ko. So we met Francis and we were very inspired by his story. So we wanted to help him. Sabi namin, tutulungan ka namin para hindi masyado naiistorbo yung pag-aral mo because of the selling of goods every day. And then another person we met was a person named Rusty. We met Rusty in Cagayan de Oro. We went to Xavier University in Cagayan de Oro for Istorya ng Pag-asa. And one of the stories that they featured was that of Rusty. Apparently, Rusty was a boy of the streets. Hindi lang siya drug addict, but he was also involved in petty crimes. Talagang pasaway, in and out of jails. Hindi talaga nagtitino until there was one teacher who never lost hope in him. Pinaaral siya ng teacher, tapos sabi ng teacher, pag nag-aral ka ng mabuti, akong bahala sa iyo. That was a time when no one else had any hope that Francis would still make it. So, nag-aral si Francis. He was very determined. He studied on a scholarship. And then when we went, he just graduated Bachelor of Arts in Development Communication. He was very excited. He was so looking forward to the future. Parang nag-a-apply nga siya sa ABS-CBN in Cagayan de Oro. We have yet to find out if he was accepted. So, these are the kind of stories that we feature. And Sister Jo was here at the time we launched it. So many inspiring stories, di ba, Sister Jo? And Angat Buhay is also like that. We would like to tell you of the stories of communities we have been to. One of the community that we have been to is a community called Barangay Diit in Agutaya, in Northern Palawan. Sino na sa inyo nakapunta sa Northern Palawan? Coron. Meron na ba nakapunta sa Coron? Di ba malayo yung Coron? Meron ng ilan. But to reach Agutaya, you have to take a 10 to 12-hour boat ride from Coron. Pumunta kami doon. Pumunta kami sa Coron. And when we went there, people were crying. So nagugulat kami, why were people crying? Apparently, it was the first time that they were visited by a national government official. And they were crying because they were happy. They were assured that they were not forgotten at all. So when we first went to a public elementary school. And the first thing that we noticed were the classrooms, were the school buildings. Sira-sira yung mga school buildings. Walang mga bubong. And they have been using it for quite some time in that condition. So we were asking, kailan ba ito nasira? Sabi nila yung Typhoon Yolanda. And Typhoon Yolanda was 4 years ago. So sabi namin, bakit hindi pa naayos? And they were telling us, siguro ma'am, hindi pa kasi nalalaman sa sa central office na nasira yung aming mga classrooms. Kasi bihira po kami ditong bisitahin. So that was one thing. And then they asked the students to line up to meet with us. Pag-line up ng mga students, we noticed that the principal was introducing to us, these are the kindergarten students, these are the grade 1 students, grade 2, and so on and so forth until grade 6. Pagdating namin sa dulo, we noticed that the grade 5 students were only as small as the grade 1 students. Pareho yung kanilang sizes. So there was a doctor in our group and we were asking the doctor, bakit ganyan? Bakit pareho yung kanilang size? And the doctor was telling us that it was a medical condition called stunting. And stunting, naririnig nyo na yun, di ba? Bansot. Yun yung tinatawag na bansot. But the sad thing about it is that being stunting is a condition that is irreversible after the age of 5. And it is not only the height that is affected, but also the brain. So imagine imagine the waste. We are blessed because ours is a very young population. Pero kung ang dami nating mga kasama na ganon, they would not have a chance at the future at all pagdating ng kanilang buhay. When they reach their most productive age, hindi nila kaya. Kasi nga they were stunted. One other community that we visited is a town called Siayan. Siayan in Zamboanga del Norte. Ano? Yung Siayan in Zamboanga del Norte, sobrang layo niya. We made 2 attempts before we finally made it because it is in the middle of 2 mountain ranges. Napakahirap puntahan. Pag masama yung panahon, hindi mo na mapupuntahan. So we made two attempts to go there until we finally went. And the reason why we went was yung Siayan, since 2003, it has been declared as the most poor. It has been declared as the most poor of all the municipalities in the entire Philippines, with a poverty incidence of 97.5%. Can you imagine? 97.5% of its people are very, very poor. And they have been relegated to impossible already. So many government institutions have given up on Siayan already. It has the biggest poverty magnitude. It has the biggest poverty incidence. But along came a mayor, a lady mayor called by the name of Mayor Flora. Si Mayor Flora was from Siayan, but he went to Manila to work already. She had a very flourishing business in Manila. But one time that she went back home, nakita niya ang sobrang hirap ng pinanggalingan niya. And it inspired her to go back and run for the mayorship. And just because of one mayor who did not lose hope in her municipality, Siayan started to turn around. Suddenly, they started building bridges already. Suddenly, roads were being constructed already. Suddenly, people were again upbeat that something was going to happen to their town. So, when we went, everyone was inspired, everyone was hopeful, everyone was just very positive. Alam niyo yung Siayan, lahat siya bundok na mahirap taniman kasi yung pagkabundok niya, lahat siya bato. But when we went, everyone was involved in vegetable farming. And now, Siayan is a very far cry from the Siayan before. So ang tanong, why am I telling you all this? Why am I telling you all this? Kasi from my experience as a human rights lawyer, that was where I learned empathy. And empathy is very, very different from sympathy. Kasi yung sympathy, when you open your Facebook accounts, you read about the misfortunes of your friends, naaawa tayo. a friend lost a father, yung isang friend niyo bumagsak sa exams, she has to retake the course again, naaawa. But empathy is so much deeper than sympathy. Because empathy is when you allow yourself to feel what the other person is feeling. And it is in trips like this that empathy is cultivated in our hearts. And that is also the reason why in every trip, I bring my very young staff complement with me. Because it is when the seeds of empathy is developed. And I'm just so glad to know that the schools being represented here have community immersion programs of their own, because it is when empathy is developed. It is something that is very difficult to explain, but it is transformational. When you go to these communities and you experience the hardships that they experience, you cannot not do something about it. So every time we leave these places with broken hearts, but with very determined spirits, that we will be back with help. And we were back in each of these places with help. Halimbawa, Agutaya. Agutaya, aside from the schools, aside from the stunted children, did not have electricity and water. But we have been back, we found a partner, Andres Soriano Foundation. And Andres Soriano Foundation pledged to put up the water system for Agutaya. So ngayon, binibuild na yung water system. We have a lot of partners who are into solar energy. They have been there a few times already. More than 200 houses have electricity already because of solar energy. Yung nakakatawa pa nga, when I went there, I was asking people, what do you want the most? Ako, I was expecting na hihingiin nila pagkain, hihingiin nila pera. Pero sabi nila sa amin, sana magkakuryente lang kami ng 1 oras. They were only asking for 1 hour. So I was asking them, bakit 1 oras? Ayaw nyo ba ng whole day na kuryente? Sabi nila, okay naman ma'am ang whole day. Pero kahit 1 oras lang, okay na sa amin. So sabi ko, anong gagawin nyo sa 1 oras? Manonood po kasi kami ng probinsyano. Yan lang. You see how simple. You see how simple their dreams are. Gusto lang nilang magkakuryente para makapanood ng probinsyano. Tayo, pag nawawalan ng kuryente kahit saglit, di ba, ang dami na nating reklamong mainit, nawala ng wifi, etc., etc. Pero sa kanila, 1 hour a day was all they were asking. And now that they have solar energy, they have 24 hours each day. Pero you know, these are things that you do not see if you don't go there yourselves. In Agutaya, one of the things that they asked from us was, noon pa po nasira na yung mga boats ng aming mga fishermen. Kasi nung bagyo, naubos na yung mga boats. Kailan pa yon? Ang sabi nila, panahon pa po ni President GMA. So sabi ko, ang tagal na nun na. Ano na yung pinagkukunan nyo ng hanap buhay? Wala po, meron po dito na konting may boats, nagsishare-share na lang kami. Kung gagamitin nila, hindi gagamit yung iba. So, you know, they have been suffering all these years. And I was invited to a meeting of the St. Teresa's Alumni Association. I told them about the story of Agutaya. And Sister Jo, thank you to your alumni. St. Teresa's Alumni Association gave the fishermen of Agutaya their boats. Andyan na po siya. Yan yung binigay ng inyong alumni. Nagbigay ng boats. Pero ito, for us, these are very simple things and we can raise them very, very easily. Diba? Parang we will not even be hurt by donating some amount. Pero the point really here is, how do you become an effective leader? How do you start being a leader? Ako sa akin, there are many different definitions of being a leader. Yung isang definition, you have to be feared so that others would follow. And that is not my definition of what a good leader is. For me, a good leader is one who inspires. A leader who inspires will inspire others to become leaders as well. It is sharing your light with others so that others will also be a light to more people. Yun sa akin na that is the best kind of leader that I know of. Pero it is not something that you study. Being an inspiring leader is not something that can be learned just for the sake of learning it. But being an inspiring leader is really investing your time. It is investing your effort. It is giving yourself a chance to feel what the poor feels para magawa mo yung dapat mong gawin. That's why I was emphasizing earlier that it is very different from sympathy. Because if you sympathize, you give something and you're happy that you already gave. Diba? That's what sympathy is. When you see someone poor, needing help, needing food, nagbigay ka ng pagkain, and you're happy. You're happy because nakatulong ka kahit papano. But with empathy, it's so much more than that. With empathy, even if you have already helped, you're still not happy. Kasi hindi pa nararamdaman, hindi pa nababago yung buhay. And if you ask me now, young as you are, can you be effective leaders at this stage already? Yes, definitely. Hindi lang sa pagtulong sa mahihirap, but in equipping yourself. I remember one time, my daughter studied in Ateneo when she was in college. And I remember right after graduation, she was trying to decide whether she would join the Jesuits volunteers or not. Yung JVP, you have to immerse in a really poor community after graduation for 1 or 2 years. And my husband was asking my daughter, bakit gusto mo yan? And my daughter was saying, because I want to do development work after college. And my husband was telling her, doing development work is okay, but you have to make sure you're properly equipped because you cannot give what you do not have. So I think that's the main message this afternoon. I gave you an idea what kind of communities we come in contact with. I gave you an idea already that there are just so many out there needing our help. And at this point in your lives, you can be where we are now in a position to help. Young as you are now, you can help by immersing yourselves in community work because that is where you gain empathy. That is where the seeds of empathy are laid down. But you also have to make sure that you study well. Because if you do not study well, there are so many things that you cannot give. Yung pagtulong sa kapwa just for the sake of tulong is not really enough. You have to, you have to have bigger dreams para yung inyong tulong ay makatulong talaga. And inspiring others is also not something that you can study in. Because no matter how much effort you put into it, if you do not have that light within you, you cannot inspire. Hindi siya naaaral. That's what I mean. Hindi siya naaaral, hindi siya nababasa. No matter how many leadership books you read, it's not there. It's not there. Because to be an inspiring leader, you cannot do shortcuts. You have to really lose yourself to be able to be of service to others. So you are here now. We're talking about leadership, we're talking about excellence, we're talking about advocacies. For me, that's one and the same. Because to be a leader, you always have to be excellent. To be a leader, you always have to be clear about your advocacies. Hindi kailangan na marami kang gawin. Hindi kailangan na yung tulong mo napakalaki. Kailangan lang siguraduhin mo na yung tulong mo talagang makakadagdag sa taong tinutulungan mo. We do not help just for the sake of helping. So yung sa akin, what were our lessons when we launched Angat Buhay? We celebrated our 1 year, I told you about it. We celebrated our 1 year anniversary last Monday. And we plan to have a big celebration, if only to thank our partners. But we could not do the celebration last Monday because I had to be in Sumilaw, in Bukidnon. I do not know if you are familiar with the Sumilaw farmers. They celebrated their 10th year of the Sumilaw March last Monday also, October 10, the same day as our anniversary. Nung ako po ay abogado pa, we were helping the Sumilaw farmers get back their land. If you are not familiar with the Sumilaw farmers, mga magsasaka sila na meron na silang lupa, pero napunta sa iba yung kanilang lupa, napunta sa malaking korporasyon yung kanilang lupa, and they did everything they could to gain back their land. Yung una nilang ginawa, hunger strike. And the hunger strike was also commemorated because last Monday was also the 20th anniversary of their hunger strike. Walang nangyari sa kanilang hunger strike. On the 10 years ago, October 10 years ago, naglakad sila from Sumilaw, Bukidnon to Malacanang. Naglakad. And that is thousands of kilometers away. I was still a practicing lawyer then. I joined a part of their walk when they went to Bicol. Makikita mo yung mga magsasaka, ang iba may mga babies na kasama. Yung paa nila, sugat na. But they could not feel the pain because they were saying that the pain is nothing compared to what they were fighting for. They were that determined. Hindi sila naghiwa-hiwalay. There were 144 of them. Hindi sila naghiwa-hiwalay until today. And you know, on the occasion of, they won the case in the Supreme Court. They were able to get their land back. And you know, on the 10th year of their anniversary, I was there Monday. The president of their cooperative was reporting, right now they're already working on a 72 million peso capitalization with a 1.4 million CBU, a far cry from those days when they had nothing at all. And that was only because of the leadership of those who came before them. That was all because they believe that nothing is impossible if they collaborate together. So these are the lessons. Ayoko kasing parang all motherhood statements and you cannot visualize. Pero the lessons are out there. The lessons are the realities that we see every day. I know that you are all very sheltered. Yun yung parating sinasabi ko sa mga anak ko pag nagre-reklamo. Pag nagre-reklamo yung mga anak ko, yun yung parating ko sinasabi, napakaswerte mo na yung nire-reklamo mo lang ganyan. Na yung batang nakita ko kanina, you know, I remember when we went to Siayan, the mayor was telling us, you know, Mom, the first time I came back, people here have not been eating 3 meals a day. They have not heard of the word merienda yet. They were up in the mountains. Hindi nga nila alam kung ano yung merienda. Kasi 3 meals a day, hindi nga sila nakakakain. But it's all turned around. And it has turned around because of inspiring leaders. And you can be that inspiring leader in the future. As I have said, you don't have to be a politician. You don't have to be a public official. Whatever you choose later on, you know, just be inspiring. Because when you inspire, you are the bearer of light. And you bear, when you bear that light, you know, you allow others to shine also using the light from within you. So siguro yun yung pinaka-lesson ko sa inyo. And we can just thank the school heads who are here and encourage you more to make sure that our students would have a lot more opportunities to immerse themselves in the work in real communities, because it is only then where they will be able to empathize. It is only when they will be able to become very good leaders in the future. Maraming salamat po. Magandang hapon.